Thank you for tuning in to an episode of In Range. Bringing to you today an interesting topic in that with the recent events in current history, I saw a number of comments on In Range regarding even legacy videos about things and products that were manufactured in China and a desire to be able to purchase similar or equivalent products made in the USA. Most specifically, red dots. Like, for example, with the What Would Stoner Do project, we standardized on the Holosun 503C. And the reason we standardized on that is because, quite honestly, it was the best of breed product on the market. It had a solar panel, great battery life, an EOTech style reticle, completely resilient and durable, continues to work to this day after many years of abuse, and was very low price for what it was. And that's one of the benefits of the manufacturing of such products in China. And it's the reason that we see so many of our products today manufactured in China, regardless of what they are. Current events has brought to light maybe something that we should have been paying attention to much more sooner than this. For example, it turns out that a large amount of our pharmaceutical products that we need and require in our healthcare industry here in the United States are also manufactured in China. Whatever your thoughts are on China or not, I do have a video on InRange regarding China using its political power for censorship via media, but that's a different topic a little bit. But the reality is, whatever your thoughts are on that, the question came to both myself and Russell Fagan, who I was talking about about this, a Sinistral Rifleman, was, well, what if you didn't want to buy a red dot sight or product from China? What options do you have? And then, of course, we immediately thought Aimpoint comes from Sweden, Meprolite is from Israel, but then we thought a little more specifically, what options are there here in the United States, considering that the U.S. really is like the epicenter of firearms and gun culture in the world to a large degree. Now, obviously, we have lots of people outside of the United States that are involved in the same thing, but U.S. definitely is the epicenter of it. One would think that of all the things we should be able to purchase American-made, we should be able to purchase a red dot sight. Seems like a simple question. We started doing analysis and looking at what options there were out there that were completely U.S. made, not sold by a U.S. company, but made and produced in the U.S. and then sold by a U.S. company. And those options started to get quite limited, and the prices of them started to get quite high. So this is our first review in a series we're going to do regarding U.S. manufactured, American-made sighting systems, specifically red dots. We have a number of Holosun optics here that we're waiting for review to do. And I'm going to hold off on those for now because of the sentiment that I'm seeing amongst the audience. And we're going to focus specifically on what we can acquire and purchase in an American-made capability for these types of sites for now. We will get back to these at some point. So this is our first one. This is the Leupold RDS Freedom. I think it's called the Freedom RDS, yes. And in this one, Russell Fagan, Sinistral Rifleman, is going to help me with this review. He is the one that acquired the unit for this particular video. But we are purchasing others via Patreon support from viewers like you to be able to do this. And hopefully we'll be able to come to you with an answer and a solution to, if you want to purchase an American red dot sight, which one you should buy. So please stay tuned for the first review, the Leupold Freedom RDS, and more to come.
Hello InRange viewers, I'm Russell Fagan, aka Sinistral Rifleman, and in this video I'm going to talk about the Leupold Freedom RDS. Having a conversation with Carl about US manufactured red dots and what's currently out there, we decided to start on the Leupold Freedom RDS because it was the least expensive of the options available. So, understanding that there are a number of products and product categories that you simply can't get made in the US anymore, firearms and firearms-related accessories are one of those things that we should still be able to purchase well-made and at reasonable prices in the United States. So in the mid-2000s, when I first got into action shooting, Chinese-made red dots were available, but we generally avoided them because the quality wasn't that great. And then sometime in recent years, maybe 5 to 7 years ago, the quality of these optics started increasing to the point, along with their features, that they were a reasonable option for recreational firearms. Not going to say they were good enough for duty use or anything more serious, but if you have a number of ARs and you needed to equip them all with optics just to have fun with, they were a reasonable solution even for a lot of competition applications. So obviously Aimpoint, the Swedish-made optics, as used by the US military and a wide range of law enforcement forces, are the king of red dot sights. But the prices on those optics have increased substantially over the years, where the top tier of those models retail in the $700 to $800 range, and the mid-range optics retail at $400 to $500. So having a bunch of different ARs for different applications, I tended to use the Chinese-made red dots from Vortex or Holosun for a lot of purely recreational purposes. I actually had a few more Chinese-produced optics lined up for reviews, but given the public sentiment against Chinese-produced products that we've been seeing, we've shelved those reviews for now, and we wanted to move forward with this US-made red dot project. I did purchase it at a discounted dealer rate through a distributor, but I did pay cash for it nonetheless. It was not a free media sample from Leupold. So first up, I'm going to take you through the features and mounting of the Leupold Freedom RDS. Then I'm going to take it to the range and get it zeroed. This is the tabletop overview of the Leupold Freedom Red Dot sight. We're going to go over the features and the things the sight comes with before we head to the range. There's two models of the Freedom RDS. The first is the BDC model that comes with a turret calibrated for 55 grain .223 ammunition, and the standard model. I'll be reviewing the standard model in this video. The Freedom RDS comes mounted in a 34mm mount. It is secured with Torx screws both on the ring portion and on the base. The package also includes a combination Torx wrench, both one for the base and one for the rings themselves. Includes one CR2032 battery and an owner's manual that you won't need after watching this video. While the Freedom RDS does come mounted, leveled, and centered in its rings, the screws themselves don't have any thread locker applied to them. So if you don't want this shooting loose on you, I'd recommend backing them out one at a time so you don't have to worry about recentering and leveling the optic, applying blue Loctite to each screw individually, then putting them back in and retorquing them. If you don't have a torque wrench, the simple way to do this is to just simply turn the wrench until you can no longer turn it by using the pressure from one finger. This will keep you from stripping out the threads on the mount and the screws. Installing the battery is very simple. We just have to turn off this cap here, place the battery in this portion of the optic, then tighten it back down. The battery doesn't click into place. There is some spring tension holding it there, but once you tighten the cap down, it will be secured. The center of the battery cap serves as the on and off switch and the brightness control. So to turn it on, we're just going to tap it once, look through, and we see the dot is on. The dot is not going to focus as it would for your eye looking through the camera. What I'm going to show you now is that clicking through makes the brightness go down. When it blinks, that means it's ready to go back up. There are 8 brightness settings. When you see it blink again, that means it's time for it to go back down, and you click again. If you want to change directions in the middle, hold it down for 2 seconds, and then you can start going back the other way. If you want to turn the dot off, hold down the power button, and then it will shut off. The battery life of the Freedom RDS is advertised at 1,000 hours on setting 4, one of the medium settings for the optic. This battery life isn't that great by modern standards, putting it on par with Aimpoint's of the 1990s as far as battery life. To Leupold's defense, they advertise that this optic comes with shake-awake technology, so if it's idle for 5 minutes and motionless, the dot will shut off. So I'm going to shake it, put it back under the camera, continue recording for 5 minutes, and we'll see if it shuts off. I'm not going to make you watch 5 minutes of a sight on a table, so this video has been sped up significantly. At the end of this section, you'll see the dot start to blink. That is a warning sign to the user, if it was immobile, that it's about to do its auto shut-off feature. Looks like motionless. It did turn the dot off, so I'm going to shake it, and we'll see if it comes back on. And there it is, back on. The shake-awake technology is certainly an effective way to conserve battery life if the optic is to only be used in a strictly recreational role or in a home defense carbine role, where if it's left unhandled, the dot will turn off on its own. It is unlikely to be effective in a patrol carbine role or a trunk gun role because every bump in the road is going to turn the dot back on and the battery will continue to drain 5 minutes at a time. The Freedom RDS will alert the user that the battery is low by blinking like it does when adjusting the brightness levels up and down. If it blinks like that when you turn it on, that means the battery is low and it's time to replace it. I'm going to mount the Freedom RDS to the front of my upper so I can try running some magnifiers behind it later. Whenever you're mounting an optic to your upper, always make sure that it is pushed to the rear of the rails so it doesn't work its way forward under recoil. I'm going to secure the screws off camera because doing this on camera and running the camera at the same time is going to be a bit challenging. Now that the screws are snugged up, I'm going to just tighten them as much as I can using my thumb like this. I don't want to over torque them and strip them out, so this is the maximum amount of pressure that I really want to place on these screws. Exceeding this can very easily strip out the screws on an optic mount. As you can see, I've witness marked the mount screws, so at a quick glance I can tell if they are walking loose or not. I'm going to do the same thing on the top. I recommend doing this on all your optics and accessories so that whenever you pick up your rifle, the first thing you can do is take a quick look at it and make sure that everything is where it needs to be and nothing has worked its way loose since your last time using it. Now that everything is mounted and secured, it's time to hit the range and get the Freedom RDS zeroed. Well, I'm at the range zeroing the Freedom RDS. It looks like the rear lens just fell out in less than the full magazine fired.
Big difference, right? Nice job. Hey.
Clearly this is a defective unit that needs to be sent back to the factory. All right, so you saw the shooting I was able to do with the Freedom RDS. In less than a full magazine through the rifle, the rear lens fell out of it. Now this is obviously a manufacturing defect, but it does not lend confidence to the Leupold product line, at least at this level. We are going to contact Leupold and return it and get it repaired and perhaps do a follow-up on it later. But in general, the features of this optic put it in line with the 1990s era Aimpoint with inferior aesthetics. It does not look like a modern optic. The battery life isn't that great. The dot isn't super crisp. It's a little more flared out and starbursty than other optics I've used, including Chinese-made ones. Under magnification, the red dot looks terrible. It looks like a slash. So if you do want to use one of these with a magnifier, it's not going to be that great. So all around disappointing. Do understand that defects happen in the manufacturing process, and hopefully Leupold can take action to correct this. But it is incredibly disappointing. Having sold 2 functioning Chinese red dots to get an American-made red dot from a company that makes a big point out of everything being produced in the U.S. by Americans, and having it fail immediately in less than 30 rounds. We're going to continue forward with this American-made red dot series. Next up will be the Trijicon MRO and its accompanying magnifier. We're going to work our way through all the American-made red dots currently available, at least the ones that we're aware of, and see how they stack up against other contemporary optics to better educate the in-range viewership as to what the options are that are available today and how you can best spend your money on American-made products.